Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a toy box makeover. So one thing that you'll learn quickly about me is that I love DIY projects. I love upcycling, refinishing, turning trash into treasure pretty much at a really affordable price to make my house look beautiful. So today I'm actually going to be working on Alex's old toy box that my mother-in-law brought down from Colorado when we had Silas. We're going to go ahead and go inside and get it, and I'll explain a little bit more. Okay, so this is a toy box that I'm going to be working with. It still has Alex's name from when he was little. It's in pretty good condition overall. The hinges are broken, so I'm going to have to get new hinges. It's all wood. It's really heavy, so I don't really know how I'm going to carry it out there, but it's deep, it has good storage. I'm actually not a fan of toy boxes because they just collect junk. All the toys get thrown in there. There's no organization. But right now that he's itty bitty, he doesn't use it yet. So once he gets older, I can organize those toys better and turn that into just some form of storage. And also, I have this, I don't even know, I guess I would call it a changing pad, or I don't really know what it is. But I was gifted it, and it fits almost perfect. So I'm thinking of maybe turning it also into a bench so that he can use it for some seating. And then if he wants to use it as like a hard top, he can, whatever he wants to do as he gets older, but it's just more practical as a little seat. I have sat on it before. If you saw my first video, I think it came out in my first video, but it's just gonna need some work. A little bit of elbow grease and a couple bucks, and we should make this thing look good as new. Dang it. Okay, so now that I got the kid back to sleep, I'm going to show you some of the things that I'm going to be using. And if I end up using anything else or something different, then I'll go ahead and just put it in there. But to start off is this citrus strip. And so pretty much we're going to coat the toy box with this, and it's going to work magic and pull up all the paint. For that, we need to scrape it afterwards. So I have a scraper. Cellophane, because you need to wrap your project in cellophane when you're using this so that it can stay moist. The moment it dries, it's no longer working. So it needs to stay moist the entire time. A brush to get it on there. Some gloves, because not only for this, but if I do end up sanding or painting, I don't want it on my hands because I do have a baby. So at any minute I have to run in and tend to him, and I don't want it all over my hands. A rag to stain, some wood filler, because once I pull off these hinges, there's probably going to be some holes there. There's also some scuffs and some dings, which I don't mind too much because I like character in my stuff. But if it's a hole that I don't like, then I'm going to go ahead and fill it with wood. Some polyacrylic and some stain. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and I'll catch up with you guys in a second. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the citrus strip. The key thing, like I mentioned before, is keeping it moist. So you want to get a good and thick layer. It's really important to avoid overbrushing. I know it's going to be tempting to want to put, some in every spot and make sure it looks smooth, but the key thing is just keeping it as thick as possible. And you're gonna see in a little while that there's parts that I did overbrush. It's fine, just keep doing what you're doing and try to get it as thick as possible. Then after, you want to go ahead and wrap it in cellophane so that you can keep the moisture in there. Okay, so now that's all done. I try to cover it as best as I could. There's parts that obviously I couldn't cover because it's just like little parts that are just in weird places. But I try to make sure like the bulk of it was all moist. I went back over and I touched up all the places that I saw that were either drying or didn't seem to have enough. You can kind of see it here where it's like really thick, and then there's like a little dry spot right there. But just trying to make sure that the majority of it gets done. This one was actually really hard because they painted both sides. So, oh, you can actually see how there's like dry spots right there. But this was the hardest piece because of both sides. We're not too worried about the underside. You can always paint it black or something. I don't have a vision for the project yet. I usually have an idea of what I want to do or how I want to do something, but I'm very intentional on the stuff that I bring into my house because we do have a tiny house. I didn't think of what to do for this because it was a gift. But once I get it all down to the wood, I can see if I like the wood, if it'll look nice, and if it does, then I can just leave it natural and kind of go from there. But if not, then I'll go ahead and paint it and figure something else out to do with it. So I'll catch up with you guys probably when I'm scraping this stuff off. Okay, so we've hit about the 1 hour mark for this piece here. Surprisingly, Silas is still asleep, so I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna go ahead and scrape. You're supposed to use a plastic scraper to prevent like gouging out any, you know, holes or scraping it and stuff, but I'm gonna work with what I have. Just be very careful, and if it scrapes up, I'm not too worried about it. There's a lot of pieces that I saw that did dry out. You can actually see right there that dried out. So I'm not expecting it to be perfect. I do think I'm gonna need to sand it, but I'm hoping that it got it enough where it kind of minimizes my work. I'll tear this off. Oh, it's already coming up. You can kind of already see with just coming up just with the plastic. Let's start. And you are gonna need a sludge bowl because, yeah, that should be better. Yeah, so I mean, it works really well. It's not that expensive. I think it's like 20 bucks for that big thing. We've used it on multiple projects already. Sorry, the neighbor like 2 houses over is moving out, so they're renovating their house to sell. But I'm gonna go ahead and put you guys down so I can finish this, and I'll pick up with you in a second. Okay, as you can see, it does take some work to get that scraping done, but it wasn't too difficult, other than having to stop for a moment because I had somebody that wanted to join me outside, as you can see. I ended up picking up where I left off the next day with sanding. This right here is a palm sander. You don't need to use one of these. You're more than welcome to sand by hand. And just keep in mind that it does take a lot more time and can sometimes be kind of painful. But if you don't have a palm sander, then you do what you gotta do. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna paint it. Like I said, I didn't really have a vision for this piece, and I still don't. Like, I don't know, I Pinterest a lot of things. I try to see things I like, and the closest thing that I like is more of a farmhouse style, but that's okay. So what I think I'm gonna do, first of all, I'm gonna mix these paints. If you're a crafter like me, then you'll never pay full price for paint unless you're selling something. But I always try to buy like all the samples that people don't want, like the 50-cent ones, $2 ones. So this is more of like a cream white. I don't know if you can see that. And then this one's more of like a pure white. So I'm actually gonna mix those together so I can make sure I have enough. I'm also gonna prime it and stuff, but I think if anything, I'm gonna do the lid. I'm gonna stain the lid and the rest white and kind of see what else I'll do with it. I don't know, I'm just so picky, and this is a hard project because I know it's gonna have to stay in the family, so I'm gonna have to actually like it. But I will continue working and I'll let you guys see the final product. So now I'm putting on the polyacrylic, and it's pretty much just to protect the wood, like if it gets wet or anything. There was a lot of these little scuffs in there. I know it looks white, but that's just the sealant. But there was all these little dings, like it looks like maybe when Alex was little, he went at it with a hammer or something. I chose not to do anything about them because I kind of like them. Gives it character. I don't know, I think it's cute. You just want to have it smooth. After this, you can do a light sand, and then do another coat on top to give it some extra protection. But this wood is so beautiful. Okay, this thing took so much longer than I anticipated it taking, but I guess that's mom life. It was my first project after having Silas, so it was a lot different. There was a lot of stopping, a lot of pausings, a lot of crying baby that I had to comfort. There's actually a few clips in here. I'm sure you saw that he was actually with me, but I love the way it turned out. It turned out really well. Definitely something I can see myself keeping in our home. So yeah, let me go ahead and show you. Okay, so this is what it looks like without that mattress pad. Went ahead to replace these hinges, which was like only like $3, I think. Like I mentioned earlier, had all these marks, like if Alex took a hammer to it, and I left them. I like them. I'm actually thinking of putting decals on this. Maybe on the top I can make it into like a little racetrack or something for his cars. And I want to do his name up here. I didn't want to paint it because, like I said, I don't know if it's going to stay in here. But if it does, I want it to be able to go with all the children, so not just Silas. So I'll probably put our last name on it, so it's not so plain. On the inside, it's not the prettiest. I just painted the bottom of the lid white, and inside just gave, you know, a little bit of paint down there, but not much. And then I did also add these little bumpers, so that way if it slams, it won't squish his fingers. He's actually crying. Let me go get him real quick. That's pretty much it for today's video. I hope you like how it turned out. That you like, subscribe, and turn on the little bell notification so you can get an update whenever I post my next video.